of Srimad Bhagavatam itself, when it was first spoken, that Parishit Maharaj he wants to inquire what a person who is going to die in 7 days, what he's asking the questions about the duty of such a person. So the whole context it's amazing, and that's why I'm very much interested in like trying to understand the rest of the things that we're going to discuss also.
Very nice, bro. Yes, so the context of Bhagavatam is so beautiful that, as they say, what is said to a dying man and what is asked by a dying man, right? Both cannot be lies. They have to be absolute truth, right? As even our courts, the dying man's verdict is taken with most seriousness, right? If anyone before death says something, that's taken as verbatim. There's no dispute on that because there's no reason for that person to lie, right? Similarly, the questions that a person wants to get answered before he leaves this material world, they are going to be profound, they are going to be deep, and they are going to be the purpose that one needs to take. That's the purpose of life, right? So essentially, the beauty of all our scriptures is that everything's arranged as Q&A, right? Uh, and that keeps the tone of the narrative very engaging, right? If it is a monologue,
Mhm.
somebody is saying something and it's one-sided monologue, it's an autobiography, it becomes boring beyond a point. But this is a Q&A, and constant question and answers. Questions that we have get represented by Arjuna and Shiva, in Bhagavad Gita. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Sonaka Adi Rishi and others, they simulate the questions that we have for ourselves. Right? So, yes, very nice point. Anything else you want to add, Prabhu? I think I'm seeing a few more devotees join in. So just feel free. It's a safe group. You can share anything.
Mm, yeah, and then I also like the point, where it was one particular verse we discussed that uh, out of all the activities like dharma, artha, kama, and moksha that we go through in like we are aspiring for in this world, and ultimately you should aim for this, the liberation. I mean, to go back to Godhead. So each of the earlier three ones, they should help you in such a way that you can attain, the lotus feet of the Lord. So all your activities should be dovetailed in that particular direction.
Hmm. Beautiful point, Prabhu. Very nice point. Um, so as you rightly mentioned, the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha comes last, right? So
Mm-hmm.
engaging in Lord service, right? How best can we do, right, in terms of parting with our contributions, in terms of bodily, in terms of finance, in terms of mentally getting occupied. How do we engage all our senses in service of the Lord? How do we, whatever income we generate, how do we use it in Lord's service? Anything you want to add there? Anything that you could, is there any takeaways that you could apply in life?
Yes, take away trying to think of the Lord all the time. So
Hmm.
whatever activity you do, so
Hmm.
even whether it's giving you pleasure or it's giving you some kind of stress, but you still think of the Lord's plan behind it. You think of the
Hmm.
Lord and try to uh,
Very-
think that we are doing it as a service to Krishna. So that is something that I've been able to take away from these sessions. And yeah, thinking of Lord all the time. That's it.
Wonderful point. Wonderful. It's a very practical application that you mentioned. Very nice takeaways.
Mm.
So we'll get started. I see some devotees. Uh, as Sindhamangalacharam. Namo Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitasya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Shabanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Pancha Kalpataropyasya Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। Welcome, devotees, to this evening Srimad Bhagavatam class session. We are on Canto 4, Chapter 22. We'll continue from verses 58 to 60. Um, I think just to summarize, because the shlokas or the verses that we have are going to be not too much of purport and translations there. So I'll just cover a little brief on the ground that has been covered so far, right? So this chapter is about, just to summarize, this chapter is about Prithu Maharaj meeting the four Kumaras, right? And the way he receives the four Kumaras. We also saw how he didn't waste any time when sadhus are there and anything has to be asked. There is no, Kushala Prashna, like which is there. How are you? How are you doing? No, there is no time for that because sadhus have no time. They can't waste any time. Neither they have any time to answer any questions which are not relevant or related to Krishna. Right? As we would have seen in the initial shlokas of Bhagavatam, Munir sadhu prishtoham bhavat loka mangalam yat Krishna samprashno yen atma suprasidati. So any questions related to Krishna is what is fulfilling, is which basically satisfies the soul completely. So anything else, these sadhus will not be they wouldn't be interested, right? So as Sukadev Goswami wouldn't stay in a house for no more than the time it takes to milk a cow, right? So he would move on to the next house. So making the best use of their time is most important. So Prithu Maharaj does that. He basically appreciates, he uh, asks this question, by what means will there be benefit for suffering people? And like four Kumaras, being very elevated souls, they appreciate Prithu Maharaj's qualities. And that's how a guest and a host exchange has to happen, right? Warm welcome, and the guest basically reciprocates to the host on the hospitality is receiving, and then it leads to the birth of beautiful set of question and answers. So Kumaras, they say that attachment to Lord, detachment from bodily concept and means for developing it is essentially the way suffering can be mitigated, or that's how um, the suffering people will get benefited. And then he further on goes on to the philosophical aspect of the four Kumaras talk about subtle body, attachment to sense gratification, moksha, right? And bhakti mixture, jnana. And then uh, finally, before they end their set of answers, they also appreciate Prithu Maharaj, they appreciate his qualities, and then they leave. Right? And Prithu Maharaj, after they leave, uh, his glorious rule is explicitly mentioned in 49 to 63, and we are in the midst of course, Prithu Maharaj, before they leave, appreciate the presence of the four Kumaras. He heaps a lot of praises on them, and after that, the chapter comes to an end. But before that, there is this elaborate mention of the qualities of Prithu Maharaj, right? The glorious rule of Prithu Maharaj that goes on from 49 to 55, and from 56 to 63. It is about qualities of Prithu Maharaj, which is being discussed. So in that, we are, I'll just share the screen. Let me see that. Let me know, please let me know once you're able to see my screen. My laptop is a bit slow today. It's acting up, but see. Hello. Is my screen visible at the moment?
Not yet, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's just see if I can share. The moment I come out of my is it visible now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Correct.
Oh, so Vasudevaya वर्षति स्म यथा कामं पर्जन्य इव तर्पयन् समुद्र इव दुर्बोधः सात्वेन चलरद इव राध इव. Anybody wants to read the shloka again?
Prabhuji.
Anyone?
Varshati
Yes, Mataji.
Varshati sma yatha kamam purjanya iva tarpayan samudra iva durbodha satve nachala radiva. Shall I read the translation also, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desire, Maharaja Prithu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea in that no one could understand his depth, and he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the flexity of his purpose. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody wants to read the purport?
Hare
Shall I
Krishna
continue?
Prabhuji, shall I?
Yes, Krishnamurti Prabhu. Yes, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams Prabhuji. Purport by A.C. Bhakti Vedant Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Prithu used to distribute his mercy to suffering humanity, and it was like rainfall after excessive heat. The ocean is wide and expansive, and it is very difficult to measure its length and breadth. Similarly, Prithu Maharaja was so deep and grave that no one could fathom his purposes. The hill known as Meru is fixed in the universe as a universal pivot, and no one can move it an inch from its position. Similarly, no one could ever dissuade Maharaja Prithu when he was determined. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams Prabhuji.
Thank you. So here the qualities of Prithu Maharaj are called out. So first of all, his ability to distribute mercy to suffering humanity. Now, most of us who are in Bangalore, 2 months back, we saw this heat, and even many parts of India are reeling under excessive heat, right? Now, at this time, if there is a bounty in terms of rainfall, if one particular area receives good rainfall, like Bangalore, luckily did receive rainfalls in the last 3-4 weeks, and temperatures have come down ever since. So if most of the parts of India were to receive rain right now, how much of relief would it be, right? Similarly, Prithu Maharaj was able to give his mercy to the suffering humanity. And what are the sufferings that we typically go through from a human life? Anybody wants to talk about it? Anyone? What are the sufferings?
Adi Bhoti.
जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि प्रभु जी.
Yes, Janma Mrityu. Is anyone away from this?
No प्रभु जी, everybody has to face this.
Right. Right. So basically, so that's the one. So that's where we need relief. And Prithu Maharaj was also deep and grave, and that no one could fathom his purposes. So, what is the comparison here? Right? Rainfall is compared to what? Rainfall is compared to the satisfaction that everyone is getting. That's so. If rainfall is the noun, the quality of Prithu Maharaj is satisfaction to everyone, right? If the quality is ocean, what is the quality of Prithu? If the noun is ocean here, what is the quality of Prithu Maharaj, which is being discussed? Anybody? Anyone?
Humility or love towards us, towards others.
So
Humility.
here, yeah. So here uh, the deep and grave part is compared to he was like the sea, right? So the sea, sorry, I meant sea instead of ocean. So the noun is sea. So the equivalent characteristic of Prithu Maharaj is unfathomable. So essentially, it's not easy to find the depth of a sea. It's very difficult to find out the length and breadth. If anyone tries venturing doing that, it's difficult. It's very difficult for him to even stay alive. Right? It's very so a sea is unfathomable, and so is the so that is what has been compared. That quality of Prithu Maharaj has been compared to sea. One cannot understand the depths, and then the third one is what is being used as a noun or what is being described for Mount Meru. What is the what is the characteristic of Prithu Maharaj when they compare it with Mount Meru? Anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, determination is so strong.
Yes. Fixity of his purpose, determination, absolutely. So, any example anybody can give of the of Mount Meru? Anyone remembers anything from Mount any pastime of the Lord connected with Mount Meru? Anyone? Mount comes quite a lot. Even in Bhagavad Gita,
In
there's a
Bhagavad Gita, it has told it, Meru Shikarinamaham. I am the Meru. He has mentioned in the qualities.
Correct. Absolutely. That's a mention in Bhagavad, very nice. Prabhuji. Pastime you remember. Very interesting. I think all of us remember. It's just that we have to just rejig our memory of Meru. Anything related to Meru. So how was Mount Meru used in one of the paths of the Lord? Anybody remember? It's something. Anyone remembers? I'm dropping another
Churning
hint.
of the ocean, Prabhuji.
Yes, absolutely. Churning of. So the Devatas and the Asuras or Rakshasas, they were tasked with, to be able to redeem their strength. They were asked to churn the ocean, right? And Mount Meru was the pivot on which the entire Vasuki was, coiled on Mount Meru, and that was used as the churning rod, right? And this Mount Meru was seated on what? So that it was able to have just to connection to elaborate the
Tortoise.
Yes. So what was the avatar of the Lord? Tortoise
Hare
avatar.
Krishna Prabhuji, Kurma Avatara.
Yes, Kurma avatar. So that was connected with so therefore the Mount Meru is so fortunate, or that's the mention here, that Mount Meru was seated on the shell of the tortoise, right? And therefore there was a direct connection with the Supreme Lord. And how fortunate Mount Meru is, and therefore It's a mountain with a lot of examples in our scriptures, and therefore it also stands for the fixity of the purpose. So Prithu Maharaj cannot be moved an inch from its position. Like, once it's decided, it stays decided. Any character from Mahabharata whose name itself reveals some aspect of these qualities. Anyone? The fixity of purpose. Anyone, any Pancha Pandav you can remember whose
Yudhishthir
name.
Maharaj, Prabhuji, Yudhishthir Maharaj.
Maharaj,
Sorry.
Prabhuji, Bhima and Arjuna.
Yeah, so they had all the answers are right, but the specific answer I was looking for was Yudhishthira. It's so Yudhishthira also means someone who's steadfast or who's fixed in a war. And interestingly, when the war, Arjuna is bewildered, and then Bhagavad Gita happens. But Yudhishthira was very strong, right? He had no confusion. Once that the last attempt to broker a peace deal with the Kauravas failed, which Krishna himself accepted on behalf of Pandavas. Yudhishthira was very strong. I'm sthira, I'm fixed the. But what happened after the war? Almost, sure of a victory. In fact, probably to the end or the last couple of days towards the closure of the war, Yudhishthira, and in fact, after that also, he was very bewildered because once the kingdom became his property, he wasn't sure there's nobody around me with whom I can enjoy this property. He felt morose. And that was the time Lord Krishna asked him to take specific instructions from Bhishma Dev, right? Of course, Bhishma Dev was waiting. He had Icha Mrityu. So that was the time that this Vishnu Sahasranam Namam was also recited. So Yudhishthira was very stable before the war, but after the war, he needed instructions. So that is very interesting. And the last bit is, so there are three qualities. So rainfall, can anyone say what is the, I'm just revising as we speak. What is the quality in Prithu Maharaj for rainfall? It's there in the shloka itself, but anyone? What is the quality in Prithu Maharaj for rainfall? Let's hear.
Mercy to the humanity.
Suffering, yeah, or satisfying every desires. Right? It's directly here, just as a concept. Right. And then C is unfathomable depth and length, right? Breadth or length. Unfathomable. Someone who cannot be measured that easily. And Meru for the fixity of purpose. So we also develop such characteristics in our life. Like, for example, when we are chanting, right? We will get a lot of WhatsApp messages. We will get a lot of prompts. People will try to call us over the phone. Somebody would want to quickly reach. Of course, if there's an emergency, that's a different, take on it altogether. But most of the calls, most of the prompts that we receive are not emergencies. They can be all dealt with after a chanting is done. So we need to demonstrate, and I'm saying, talking thing to myself, that the fact that there needs to be a fixity in purpose. My goal is to stand 16 rounds sincerely, without a break, completely committing myself to the Lord. It's essentially a time. It's a me time with Krishna. It's essentially when I'm having Krishna as my guest on my tongue. I need to treat my guest very appropriately, very properly. So I cannot, when I invite a guest, I cannot be seated and come back after a while. That is basically something I guest. So similarly, So when Krishna, by calling out his holy name, it is very unbecoming of Eve. Right? When we call out the holy names, we should try avoiding any interrupts, uh, any kind of impediment, and most of it can be avoided. So, taking dedicated time for chanting will demonstrate this fixity of purpose. And when we want to use the ability to satisfy everyone, a good example of that could be how we can treat our Vaishnavas, the community of Vaishnavas, how we can satisfy them with our services. Right? This one, how we can practically apply the depth of the sea is our understanding of the philosophy and shastras. That if someone questions us, we should be able to, we are so well deep immersed into shastras, we can quote shlokas, we can vindicate our stance in a very, very convincing way, right? And therefore, with that, convince the other person also to become one of us, right? So these are practical ways of how we can use this in service of the Lord. We go to the next one. शिक्षाय आश्चर्ये हिमवान इव कुबेर इव कोशाद्यो गुप्तार्थो वर्णो यथा. Anyone wants to recite the shloka again? Anyone? Anyone wants to read? Purport?
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, Mataji. If you want to recite the shloka also, you can go ahead.
Yeah. धर्मरादिव शिक्षायाम् आश्चर्ये हिमवानिव कुबेरा इव कोसाद्यो गुप्तार्थो वरुणो यथा. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Prithu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamaraja, the superintendent of death. His Prabhuji, it has become black screen. Hare Krishna, is it black screen for everybody?
Mataji, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji.
I don't know why my laptop being up with it today. Is it better now, Mataji?
Still the screen is not shared.
Now it has come.
Now it is right. Yes, Prabhuji. Now it has come. His opulence was comparable to.
Yeah.
His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals were stocked. He possessed great riches like Kuvera, the treasurer of heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varunas. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Anybody who wants to read the purport?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, give the Prabhu.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yamaraja or Dharmaraja, as the superintendent of death, has to judge the criminal living entities who have committed sinful activities throughout their lives. Consequently, Yamaraja is expected to be most expert in judicial matters. Prithu Maharaja was also highly learned and exceedingly exact in delivering his judgment upon the citizens. No one could excel him in opulence any more than estimate the stock of minerals and jewels in the Himalaya mountains. Therefore, he is compared to Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets. Not could anyone discover the secrets of his life any more than learn the secrets of Varuna. The demigod presiding over the water, the night, and the western sky. Varuna is omniscient, and since he punishes sins, he is prayed to for forgiveness. He is also the center of disease and is often associated with Mitra and Indra. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So there are three characters here, and there are three qualities of Prithu Maharaj which are being discussed. So the first one is the qualities of Yamaraja. What is the quality of Yamaraja? Being
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, he is an impartial.
in
He is an impartial.
is commensurate to sins, right, or with sins, and not underdoing it, right? Yes, absolutely. The second, Himalayas are being compared to what? Which quality with Himalayas? Anyone?
Hare Krishna
There's one
Prabhuji,
keyword.
maybe
Yes,
in Himalayas we can find valuable materials
yes,
like pearls and
yes,
metals.
yes. So the quality in Prithu Maharaj is that of opulence, right? So that's where there's a comparison with Himalayas. The third is Kuvera. What is the comparison here? Which quality of Prithu Maharaj is being discussed here?
Richness.
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 Yes, absolutely. Possessing great riches like Kuvera, right? And Varuna. What is the quality of Varuna which is being discussed here?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, omniscient, or he is full of rahasya.
Right, right. That's very nice.
Secrecy, I think.
Yes, yes.
Correct. No one could reveal his secrets, right? So all beautiful characters, all beautiful qualities. So what is the takeaway here for us, right? So we look at Yamaraja and we look at unbiased. So we are not obviously, it's like we're not judges of anybody, right? So um, we will not be in a position to hand out punishment to someone or applaud or something. So obviously, but one thing that can be taken away from this still is that looking at everyone with an unbiased view, can definitely aspire to do. Many times when we look at there is a preconceived notion that comes in. Just by a person's appearance, we will make certain assumptions in our mind. Oh, he looks like this. Let's say someone walks in without a tilak, instead of maybe looking at his service or the way he's sincerely doing something, we may look at this not good way, right? Or looking at some at uh, um, what is our biggest obstacle?
Prabhuji, voice is not clear, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, voice is not clear.
Some
Something network issue is there, Prabhuji.
am audible?
No, Prabhuji, no clarity. No, Prabhuji, no.
Yeah, yeah, one second. Let me see if this works. I'll mute my laptop. Am I audible here?
No, Prabhuji.
Sorry. Am I audible now, Prabhu?
Oh, yes.
Yes, now it is audible, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry. There's this internet and laptop both are acting up. So I've logged in from my mobile. Yes, sorry. So the question here is that on the opulence, which is the biggest opulence we have in our devotional service? There are multiple opulences, just anything that comes to your mind. What is the opulence we have when we talk about devotional service? Anyone?
Prabhuji, a question is not clear to me, Prabhuji.
The question here is, which is our biggest opulence in devotional service? Is it clear
Prabhuji,
now?
maybe false ego.
Oh, opulence, bro. What is our opulence?
Opulence. Okay.
Opulence. False ego is a kind of a demerit
Yes,
that we
yes.
have. Yeah, yeah. So, what is the biggest
Prabhuji,
opulence?
blessings of the acharyas,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji, that we are here
Yes,
listening to you.
yes. No, not just me, anybody. So, blessings of Acharya, very nice. Anything else?
Prabhuji,
Multiple points.
from this paragraph, I feel it is delivering others, that is helping others to come in Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji.
Yes, that is also an opulence. Uh, any other opulence like that that is close to her heart and that we do day in and day out, which is the biggest opulence that we have. Of course,
We should have faith and chant sincerely. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
yes.
Association, Prabhuji.
Association, wonderful point. Anything else? What about, just to drop a hint, what about holy name itself, right? Holy
Yes.
name, the potency of holy name before we came to Krishna consciousness was not well understood. We used to think if I have to, approach the Lord, I have to go to a temple or go to, deities at my home. But when holy name is such a big opulence that wherever I am, Lord is not far away from me, right? So that bit, yes. So all these are beautiful opulences. And what about the riches that we have? Actually, both are related, so I'll skip that. What about no one could reveal his secrets? What characteristics can we develop here? Anyone? The question here is, no one could reveal his secrets, the aspect which is synonymous with Varuna. What is it? How can we apply it in our day-to-day life?
Prabhuji, Maunam.
Sorry?
Mauna. Mauna means
Achha,
silence.
silence, right? Okay. Yes. So there are the one big takeaway is many times as part of our day-to-day dealings, there'll be many devotees who will confide their secrets onto us, right? They will talk about certain family things also, like, for example, why they are not able to move ahead in Krishna consciousness, why they are not able to do certain services. So we need to keep these secrets to our heart. We are not supposed to reveal to others and embarrass them, right? It shouldn't happen that they confided some deep secrets onto us, and we are the first to leak it somewhere else, right? So the ability to essentially keep the secrets close to our heart and not use it, or not basically make it public, that is something we should definitely look to do, right? So let me go to the next one.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Regarding that Yamaraja, how usually we after seeing anyone, any person related to us, not to us, just knowingly or unknowingly, we will come to the conclusion that that's one like that, just one outlook only. How we can overcome this character, Prabhuji?
Yes, so very good question. Uh, Difficult to apply, but what we can look to do is try to essentially see he is a devotee of Krishna. So one is that there's an amsha of Krishna in everyone, right? Even if someone abuses us, not physically, let's say verbally. Physical abuse is very different, but verbally somebody is abusing us. Maybe we can look at it from the perspective that there is something that I have done in my previous lives which is coming back to me as this behavior from this person, right? So when we look at it from that perspective, we automatically will feel much more motivated to excuse that person, forgive that person, right? The aspect that when we basically, as they say, don't judge a book by its cover, right? So when someone comes up and basically allowing time, right, before judgments can be made or before impressions can be formed, allowing some time, that when someone basically is doing any service, trying to see the good side of it, right, and uh, basically see the fact that yes, this person, or there could be another way of seeing it. If there are some very good qualities in a person, we can thank Krishna that how such beautiful qualities have been exhibited through this devotee. All the beautiful qualities of the Lord are being exhibited from this person or through this person. So these are very good ways of trying to get an unbiased view of a person. When we put Krishna in the center of everything, it makes it very, very easy. Does it help, Prabhu?
Prabhuji,
Mhm.
not related to our nearest circle.
Okay.
In public, while walking in the road or by
Right.
saying anything, but just by their attitudes, we used to negate them.
Correct.
Just their attitudes.
Hmm.
At that time, how we can overcome that? As per my knowledge, because I am myself thinking now, better
Hmm.
every person as Supreme Lord is residing in their hearts.
Hmm.
It may help. It may help. I think, Prabhuji. Is it right? Are you feel?
Correct. That definitely is there. That see, Supreme Lord is not just there in devotees, but he's in everybody's heart, right? As super soul. So definitely that is one. The second is uh, the fact that if someone gives an unruly behavior towards us, right? Like I talked about an example where someone has, basically brushed us aside, or basically ignored us, or done something which we didn't like, right? See, when the judgment is always negative, right? Positive
Yes,
judgments
yes.
are there, but judgments are generally very negative, correct? So
100%.
yes. So if we can relate it to our past karma, that hey, this has happened to me because of my own doing. Sometime, somewhere I might have basically, like, if let's say I might have done something in my past life, that this has come back to me to
Okay.
purify me. The intent is for my purification. This is happening, right?
Okay.
So when we see it from that perspective, we are going to be a little more,
Comfortable.
forthcoming. Comfortable, yes.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Yes. So for some reason, okay, is this visible, my screen? Yeah, I know it's turning black, but it'll come back. It's still black, is it? It's come back. So I'll just recite. Oh, Haribol. I know it's back. मातारिस्वेव सर्वात्मा बलेन महसौजसा अविश्ययात्तया देवो भगवान् भूतारादिव. Anybody wants to read the last verse? Translation. Anyone?
Prabhuji, shall I read translation?
Yes. There's no purport to it, so please read the translation.
There is no purport, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. In his bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaja Prithu was as strong as the wind, which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like the all-powerful Rudra expansion of Lord Shiva or Sadashiva. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. So here there are two things or two characters which have been mentioned. Wind. The wind has been compared to the bodily and sensual strength of Prithu Maharaj, and Rudra is being qualified as intolerance, right? Intolerance was considered, he was like all-powerful Rudra expansion of Lord Shiva, right? Now, how do we apply this? Any thoughts on applying these two things in our devotional service? How do we apply these two in our devotional service? Any thoughts?
Prabhuji, maybe wind, irrespective of the work, render in the temple or anything else, irrespective. We will not be show our inefficiency or in non-cooperation, it must not be there. By open-heartedly, we have to involve in devotional service.
That's good. Any other thoughts? Anyone? Anybody? I just wanted to see what devotees are feeling.
Prabhuji, can you please repeat the question, Prabhuji, because it is raining here, so I cannot hear clearly.
Yes. The question here, Mataji, is that the quality of bodily strength and the strength of the senses of Prithu Maharaj, right? This quality, how do we apply in our devotional service?
Prabhuji, for determination, we can say that we should be determined in doing our devotional service, being in association, chanting and all that, Prabhuji.
Correct. But we discussed that a little bit in the fixity of purpose, right? So yes, this point is still valid. I'm just trying to, mention about the past discussion also. Anything else that comes to your mind? So one thought here, Mataji, and everyone here is that, see, we need to have some amount of body strength for a couple of reasons. One is to be able to do services which are given to us, like any temple-related service. Very, very unfortunately, I find many devotees who are suffering from back pain and really, really unable to take up services, right? Other than few services that don't make them exert. That doesn't exert them. So being bodily capable of doing certain services. The second is engagement of senses is essentially how do we employ those senses in satisfying the senses of the Lord, right? Rishikesha, basically. So the nose has to be used to smell the flavors of the Lord or the tulasi, right? The tongue has to be used in chanting the holy names and essentially taking prasadam. The eyes have to, take the darshan of the Lord in home or in temple, like that, right? So, bodily strength to be able to do services and senses to be able to use it in devotional service, like I mentioned. Okay, so let's go to the next one. What about intolerance? Now, that is very controversial, right? How do we use intolerance in devotional service? Is that possible even? Is it possible to use intolerance in devotional service? We are always taught that you have to be tolerant, right? Anything, anyone can come up with a point on how intolerance can be used in devotional service.
Blaspheming the devotees and spiritual masters, Prabhuji.
Who said that? Wonderful point. Absolutely. So in any blasphemy that happens, we should take the opportunity to kind of, in a very assertive way, come up with a good rejoinder, good defense, right? So that's where intolerance is fine, is okay, is good, right? So absolutely. And how do we, in some cases, intolerance can also be demonstrated when there is atheism or there is an atheistic point of view, right? And let's say we are party to that discussion and we are engaged in that discussion. Is there any, can we say anything there in that in such a forum? Yes, anyone? So we can actually go down deeper into our shastras and use choicest verses to reveal or to back up our point of view or our point of view, basically, or our assertion, essentially, right? So that is very important, because if we quote shastras, all of us are all we are all messengers of Krishna. We are all essentially, we stand, we basically are lawyers, right, of Krishna consciousness. So if someone, of course, Lord also mentions that do not talk about me to people who do not believe in me, etc. But before we get to the understanding that, the point, there are people who may get convinced by our arguments and have a change of view, right? And there are people who, despite all our arguments, despite all our quotations of shlokas, they may not change their mind. So we can leave them as it is. We don't have to over endeavor there. But knowing enough shastras to be able to quote, because when we quote from shastras, a couple of things happen. One is that the people around us, they develop a bit of a respect for us. And that respect comes from the fact that when we go deeper into our shastras and we're able to pick the choice of the right shlokas, we are able to sound very authentic, right? It's like a lawyer who quotes from certain sections, right, of constitution or from the legal book. When someone just quotes it, then the authenticity is there. And second is these shastras, the quotations, the verses, they're so powerful that recitation of that can also reform somebody's heart. It can transform someone's heart. So from all those perspectives, we can do that. But yes, if the argument continues, then we can just back away. We can just leave them to their kind of misfortune, I would say, and then keep marching along. So that's all I wanted to communicate in our class today. So unfortunately, there was not too many purports. So I was just trying to see how these qualities can be used in basically embellishing our devotional service. Any questions before we end the class today? Haribol. If there's none, I'll end the class. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Haribol.